From the KOIN 6 newsroom, this is breaking news.
Welcome to KOIN 6 News at 5:30. I'm Chris Holmstrom.
And I'm Anna Canzano. We begin with that breaking news. Police in riot gear have arrived at the Portland International Airport, and that's where Trump protesters this weekend had largely been peaceful.
And let's get right out to Andrew Dimber. He's been there throughout the afternoon. Andrew, how's it looking out there?
Yeah, well, just moments ago, violence erupted after pro-Trump supporters clashed with this group of protesters here outside of Portland International Airport. Now, that clash happened inside the airport after this group of a couple of hundred marched throughout the airport. We did see that one pro-Trump supporter was knocked unconscious. Then when he hit the ground, some in the crowd decided to kick and hit him even more while he was on the ground. And then police in riot gear showed up in numbers. We heard multiple reports that they fired rubber bullets into the crowd as the crowd got very agitated. Since then, the police were able to get that man out, and they have also left as well. Now, earlier in the afternoon, this was very peaceful before that violence erupted. We even had Senator Jeff Merkley join in on the demonstration, and he addressed the crowd. This is what he had to say.
Is Lady Liberty crying? The words that she says, "Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free." She didn't say, "We're going to slam the door on the poor, the tired, the huddled masses." We are a nation of immigrants, and we must stand together to displace immigration.
And of course, these protests are in response to President Donald Trump's executive order of extreme vetting of Muslim immigrants coming from war-torn countries. Here at Portland International Airport, protests have been going on for hours. There's a good 200, maybe 300 people here at its height. We saw about 1,000. And I just want to remind those who are just joining in that there was some violence a couple of minutes ago between pro-Trump supporters and the crowd here as a pro-Trump supporter was hit in his face, knocked down unconscious. When he hit the ground, people started kicking him. That's when police moved in, but since then, we have not seen a police presence. Things have calmed down a little bit. People are cheering outside of Portland International Airport. All traffic has been stopped on the upper level here, although this group every couple of minutes or so decides to march around the airport, blocking traffic and blocking some of the baggage terminals there. But this is a live look right now outside Portland International Airport. We're going to continue to follow these demonstrations as they happen all over the country and here at home. As soon as we have more, we'll check back in with you. For now, we'll send it back to you in the studio.
Andrew, thank you. I know that violence would be disappointing to the majority of the people who are demonstrating peacefully there this weekend. And as he mentioned, right now traffic to the airport is not disrupted, but anyone actually going to the airport is being asked to go through the arriving level instead of the departure level, since that's where the crowd was gathered. And
we'll check in with Andrew later in this newscast. Thank you, Andrew. In Washington, D.C., in Boston, New York, Los Angeles, and as you saw right here in Portland, thousands are pushing back against President Trump's Muslim travel ban.
The order keeps refugees out and bans people from 7 predominantly Muslim countries from entering the U.S. for 90 days.
But last night, a federal judge issued an emergency stay blocking part of the order. Winnie Gillette has more from New York, where some 10,000 people attended a rally.
Tens of thousands across the country took to the streets, demanding President Trump reverse his executive order on immigration.
This is what democracy looks like.
In Washington, they rallied at the White House.
The protests here in New York began in Battery Park, across the river from the Statue of Liberty. Demonstrators then marched to Customs and Border Patrol offices.
This is the symbol of what it means to be an American.
After the president signed the order banning citizens of 7 predominantly Muslim nations from entering the U.S. for 90 days, some holding valid visas were detained after landing. Federal judges issued rulings to halt parts of the order, and some were released. Neil Zion is from Syria. He has a visa to visit his wife and son in L.A., but was turned away in Istanbul.
We are waiting this moment since 2 years.
New York Senator Chuck Schumer held a news conference with refugees.
It was implemented in a way that created chaos and confusion across the country, and it will only serve to embolden and inspire those around the globe who will do us harm.
President Trump released a statement saying the order is not a ban against Muslims. The White House chief of staff said green card holders from the 7 countries would be allowed into the U.S. going forward and defended the order.
immediate steps, pulling the Band-Aid off, is to do further vetting for people traveling in and out of those countries.
Some top Republicans, including Senator John McCain, said the executive order was not vetted enough before being issued. Wendy Gillette for CBS News, New York.
And President Trump also said in his statement that the U.S. will again issue visas to citizens of all countries once secure policies are implemented.
We are seeing more people affected by his executive order. In Virginia, a mother waited nearly 10 hours for her 5-year-old son to get released. He was traveling alone, returning from a visit with family in Iran, and he was detained as soon as he landed. Cameras were there late last night to capture their reunion.
And in New York, the New York Taxi Workers Alliance says they have boycotted picking up passengers from JFK Airport in protest of the ban. The president of the alliance says many drivers in New York come from banned countries to start a new life here in the U.S.
A different story for Uber. It's facing backlash for its response to the president's travel ban. The transportation company tweeted yesterday that it had suspended surges for the area. That effectively lowers the cost of a ride. Hashtag Delete Uber began trending on Twitter. Some users likened the company's tweet to an attempt to rally against Trump protests. Uber responded a few hours later saying, quote, "The last tweet was not meant to break strike." It provided a link to its CEO's statement on how his employees were negatively affected by the executive order.
And in Seattle, police used pepper spray to disperse crowds that were protesting the president's immigration ban at SeaTac International. An estimated 2,000 people demonstrated there yesterday. Officers say they arrested at least 15 people.
Stick with KOIN 6 News as we dig into the effects of President Trump's latest executive actions and their impacts here in the Pacific Northwest. Between newscasts, you can always track updates at KOIN.com.
And at today's protest, you saw Senator Jeff Merkley address the crowd there at PDX, and Portland Mayor Ted Wheeler also tried addressing the crowd.
Yeah, but shortly after thanking everyone for coming, he was drowned out by people who are not happy with his latest actions in the city. Take a listen.
And as your mayor, I'm going to work with our federal delegation, I'm going to work with our state officials, with our county officials and others to figure out how to... Fire Mike Marshman! Fire Mike Marshman! Fire Mike Marshman!
He's here in the middle of a street that's blocking traffic at a protest that's unpermitted, despite the fact that over the last week and a half, he has had the Portland police riot cops violently attack people for participating in unpermitted marches in the streets of Portland.
In a sense, yes, because he stated that there was a crackdown on protests, but then he shows up at a protest. And I feel like I applaud him for showing up, but I feel like an apology is needed if he can't play both sides.
We have reached out to the mayor's office with these concerns. We have not yet heard back.
And have you been out to the protests around Portland? Let us know what you think about how the city is handling the demonstrations. Just send a message to report it at KOIN.com or click on the Report It tab on our KOIN 6 News app.